Hey guys, David Salazar here with Herd in Houston, here with Vincent Salazar. Vince, say hi.
What up?
We're going to take some time today to just talk about the legal field, life in general, and kind of how all of this came to be. Vince, you've been with us now for how long?
About 15 years or so?
15 years?
Yeah, going back to about August, I think,
I have
of
a,
2009.
I have a good question for you. You were not in the legal field, so what has kept you in it, and what do you like and dislike about it?
When I first moved here, I moved up here to start a job in the logistics with HEB at the distribution center, which I hated. It's pretty much micromanaging and babysitting a bunch of grown adults. And then I used to come into your office, you would remember, on my off days, and I would, kind of diddle daddle with talking to some clients or calling insurance companies or medical providers. And it was refreshing because it was a little different every day. There was always something new. Obviously, it's a new field, so everything was foreign to me, but it was a learning experience. My kind of uh, personal side, some of my better attributes are that I'm a problem solver, and there's a lot of problems in this industry. So picking up a case claim by claim, a little bit of information here, a little bit of information there, trying to figure out what's going on, how we can help. The other side of me is that I like to help people that want to be helped themselves. And so every day there's something a little different. There are a lot of redundant factors to what we do, but ultimately every day is different. I like the people that I work with. Obviously, it's more of a family environment, family atmosphere, what we got going on, but not only us, but a lot of our colleagues, the other firms and providers that we work with. It's become a pretty tight knit family here in the Houston area. It's a pretty big family, but there's a lot of perks involved, and I enjoy that as well.
I think that's a good point, and it's something I really hadn't thought about was that we have our family has grown in a sense that a lot of these providers and technically competitors that we work with are now our family, and that's
Yeah.
a big perk that I didn't even think about until you said it. Um, but
Yeah. If
it's
you think about the people that we knew about, other firms that handle PI cases, personal injury cases. We didn't know a lot about them. And to us getting started, everybody, it seems like you think is your competitor. But when you find out that there's just so many types of injury claims to go around, you don't see all these firms and billboards and commercials for nothing. There are legitimately that many cases to go around and plenty of mouths to feed, plenty of people to help. And so, yeah, over the years, we've come to grow and know these other firms, work with them, get to know them on a personal level, hang out with them and their families. So it's become a great thing, in my opinion.
no, I completely agree. What do you think has changed the most since you started in this industry?
Well, the insurance companies are always changing the game. Obviously, their lobbyists are pushing forward their agendas and changing laws to favor the insurance side. Our job is to try to navigate past those and still try to figure out ways that we can help our clients. But just the ever changing laws, the subtle differences in policy language, the way people view insurance companies and these types of claims. There's a big stigma on, oh, I'm injured, I'm in an accident, I'll get paid pain and suffering. But when you actually talk to somebody who's been involved in one, you find out that, hey, look, you actually do receive injuries from these types of things. Even if it's not a broken bone or you're not in the hospital for 10 days, you are still injured. There is discomfort that comes along with these types of accidents. And it takes some time to get past, well, to explain and to not even persuade, but to get people to understand that, hey, you know what? I'm not doing something wrong by filing an insurance claim. We're required to have it by law. I got to pay this insurance company X amount of dollars X every month, every day, every year. I not might as well get back something in return, but that's the only mechanism in place to make you whole again. And our job is to try to facilitate that process, make it easy for them, and navigate it for them so that they're not just out there on an island by themselves.
Don't you think it's crazy that people get in accidents, pay for their insurance for 2, 5, 10 years, never make a claim, and then when they get in an accident, like, oh, well, I don't want to file a claim on my own insurance.
Yeah, it honestly, it baffles me. Whenever I first started with you, I kind of believed and had the same thought process, like, hey, I don't want my insurance to have to cover this. The other person's at fault. Well, That's what your insurance is there for. That's what you pay them on a monthly basis or 6-month or annual basis to protect you in the instance that you're hit by a driver. They're supposed to be the ones helping navigate the process, except a lot of times it seems like they're just out in it for themselves. There's another insurance company involved. So go after that party first. And then if they can't help you, then come back to us and you can file a claim with us. But by that time, sometimes it's too late. It's a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, and then they're behind the ball. They haven't gotten any treatment because they were expecting the other insurance to help them. So it irks me when people don't want to file a claim, but they don't understand that once you have a claim out there, whether it's your insurance or somebody else's, if you're at fault or the other person is, then you still got a claim out there in your record for one event. And so if you have insurance, if you have the proper coverage, use it when it's there.
It's so crazy because we just get a call about this morning where some dude, we'd spoken to him a couple weeks back, and he was trying to figure things out, and then
He just didn't want to file it on his own insurance. He thought that he could deal with the headaches he was having from being hit as a pedestrian and waiting and trusting that the insurance would eventually come around and take care of him. But by that time, 2 or 3 weeks later, if you finally go to a doctor, the insurance company will turn back and say, hey, look, how come you didn't come to us 2, 3 weeks ago, seek medical attention? Then you must have not been that hurt, and you've already devalued, or they've already devalued the claim that you could have initially had. So it's frustrating at times, but like I said in the beginning, you can only help those that want to help themselves. We're the ones in this industry with the experience and with the know-how and how these types of claims work, and we can only say so much, but it's ultimately their decision.
And I think for the people listening out there, one of the things that I can't stress enough is time is not on your side. Time is not on your side, and insurance companies rely on you, the layperson, to take as much time as possible. Because once that happens, they can basically poke as many holes in your case as possible. Changing course a little bit, Vince, tell me about yourself, dude.
Married for now 7 years, 7.5 years. Been with my wife since 2009, actually, since I started here. I think she started here about a month before me. Got 3 kids, a 4.5, 3.5. One actually about to be a 5-year-old, 3.5, and then a 1-year-old. And they're all pretty crazy, but it's all worth it. No more kids, though. No more kids for me. I'm ready to get past diapers and bottles and get them all into the toddlers and beyond stage.
The funner, like once they get past that, that's when it gets easier.
Well, easier in a different way, I
Yeah.
think. But like today, I had a carpet or a rug cleaning service come over because my daughter threw up all over the floor the other night and it stinks like rotten yogurt in the house. And so those are the fun things that you want to look forward to.
As far as everything else goes, so we just hired a new girl. We're up to how many people in the office? How many people in and out of the office?
Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then outside 9, 10. Not including like our graphic design and marketing and then our social media guys. So, 10 plus ish, but I think that's what we like about our firm. We're more of a boutique style. We have been fortunate enough to be successful with the cases that we've vetted. We take pride in the way we vet our cases and claims. And so we're not a volume firm, obviously, that. We like to make sure that anything we take on, we're going to take it on with the confidence that we can do some good for our clients, and then essentially that's good for us as well. But always making sure that what we get into, we're not in over our heads. And even if we are, we want to bring in one of our litigation firms to assist with the matter. So,
That's one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about too, is like there's all these attorneys out there, and there's a lot of them who do great advertising. And a lot of them boast, oh, well, I got this much and this much and this much. And I couldn't tell you how many times we have a lot of clients in San Marcos. We have a lot of commercial clients in San Marcos, Texas. And I couldn't tell you how many times we have heard in the past, oh, well, I went with this big name or this big name or this big name. It boggles my mind how people are impressed by that. But I get it. It's the marketing. It's what they've done, but it's not the actual work product. Can you talk a little bit about that?
well, that goes to the whole volume, to be one of those billboards or one of those commercials that says, we got our client, $5 million or $10 million or $867,000, whatever it is, you have to be the top 0.05% of their cases. You with the damage profile, I should say, you would have had to have had some really catastrophic injuries, broken bones, TBI, traumatic brain injury, loss of consciousness. You're in the hospital for a couple of weeks or something like that. But those aren't the only claims out there. Those aren't the only cases out there. So if you're beyond that, if you don't have those types of injuries, not to say that your claim might not be worth in that ballpark, but you tend to fall through the cracks with a volume firm. They take on hundreds of cases a month, and they have an army of first-year attorneys or paralegals or case managers that are helping. And not to say that there's anything bad about that, but they pay more attention to the seriously injured cases, which do require a lot of attention, but every claim and every case requires the same amount of effort and attention. I think that's where we pride ourselves in. No matter what case we have, everybody's going to get the attention it needs and make sure that we're handling it, because we have a duty to all of our clients to protect their interests, to maximize the claim for them, make sure they get the medical treatment they need, make sure all their bills get paid, and of course get compensated accordingly for what they've had to go through. Every case, every profile is different.
I think that's one of the things I like about how we work the firm and the firm that we've created is that I couldn't tell you how many cases that we have taken where these big TV or these guys who have 100 billboards or whatever, where they have declined them or where they decided that they're going to drop the cases. And we ended up taking the cases and getting 6, 7, 8 figures for it.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that we can help these people, but I hate the fact that sometimes we're the second option. But at the same time, I get it, and I'm thankful that they end up coming to us. And in the end, like it really does make me feel good to know that we've changed a lot of laws or policies that a lot of these big companies have to make it safer for people out there.
Oh, yeah. And, we've had several cases against, say like a school bus or a metro or city bus, where they didn't have maybe the proper safety gear up in the front portion of the bus. And we've had to force them to install, safety mechanisms to make sure that they protect the public. So I get what you're saying. And yeah, being the second option for a lot of these, the big firms, people just know what they hear, It's no question about who are the big firms in Texas, or the most popular firms, I'll say. And a lot of times that's the first thing that comes to mind. So it is a marketing deal. It is a little frustrating that we're not the first call. Whenever we can find something that they say, hey man, I went to this big name place and they just didn't think either I was worth it, my damages weren't there, or, this person didn't have insurance. If we feel like there was negligence somewhere that resulted on an accident or somebody being injured, we're going to turn over every stone. We're going to look for everything we can. And I think that's where we pride ourselves in, finding what other people haven't been able to find. And then helping those people that thought like, hey man, I thought this was dead in the water. And we're like, no, well, actually we were able to find this. And maybe it's not the world, but we think that it can help you turn the page on this chapter and move on and put this event behind you.
Closure is important for
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As far as everything else goes, Vince, is there anything else that you want to talk about in regard to, at least this time around?
I want people to know that never hesitate to contact us. And now that I'm in this industry, like you think about, I got to call an attorney's office or whatever. You might think that something's wrong or something's bad. Well, no. And it costs a lot of money. But for us, we work under a contingency basis. If you ever have a question, a legal matter, and you think, well, hey, these guys might not take care of that, let us know what you're thinking. If there might be some type of claim or potential negligence involved, let us be the ones to figure out if that's something that we could move forward with. And at the very least, maybe we could point you in the right direction. Because that was something that I probably would have never known had I not entered into this field, 15 years ago. And now it's like, I wouldn't even question it to reach out to somebody if it's in regards to some type of legal matter or feeling like, hey, look, I was hurt and I don't think I did anything wrong. Maybe there was something that could have been done to prevent this from happening. Let me find out if there's something there, especially if I'm going to end up incurring medical expenses, if it's going to affect my daily life for a certain period of time, if it's going to take time away from my kids or my work. Those are things that if you didn't ask to be put in that position, find out if there's something that can be done to assist. And all that takes is a quick call to us and let us be the ones to figure it out for you.
So that's a good point. I did want to ask you this though, because you mentioned it. You said contingency fee. A lot of people don't know what that means. Can you explain what that means?
That just means that, contingent upon us getting a settlement. So if we're able to get a recovery for you, then our fee is covered through that recovery. So at no point do you ever pay anything out of pocket. Our job, and the way I like to put it is, the incentive to us is to do our best work for our clients. And if we're doing the best work for our clients, that means they're getting treatment they need. That means they're getting their bills paid. That means they're getting some compensation in their pocket, and our fee will come from that recovery as well. So our job is to maximize it for our clients. And if we're doing that, if we're getting our clients compensated, then we're earning our fee as well.
No, I love that. I think that's really important because most people just don't, they're afraid to talk to an attorney because they don't know how much it's going to cost. And if they understood that, it's kind of the first things that we can reveal is, hey, that you have no risk here. Let us take the risk. Let us invest the money and the time, and we'll figure it out for you.
Exactly.
Okay, last question of the day is the Texans are playing the Vikings this weekend, and the Texans are favored by 3 in Minnesota. What are your thoughts?
I don't think the Texans have played their best ball yet. I think that they had a slow start. However, they've won. I think they played a little sloppy ball on Tuesday, too many penalties. On the other side, I think Sam Darnold had a great start to his new found career in Minnesota. They are playing at home. I think Justin Jefferson's coming off of some type of injury. I'm a diehard Texans fan, and I bet with my heart all the time. So I'm going to take the Texans. I don't know by how many points, but I'm just really looking for him to just put it up in the air. I want CJ Stroud to have 3-4 passing touchdowns. He's been a starter, with LA. So I like the Texans. I hate to say that because they're on the road team, and I tend to like to be the underdog. But hey, if you want to play with the big boys and be a Super Bowl contender, you got to play like it. So I'm gonna take the Texans.
All right, thanks, guys.